Hello, folks, and welcome to the Community Curation Podcast. I am your host, the Gothic Storyteller, and with us today is the lovely Songbird. We all call her
Hello.
Birdie, Ellie Bird. There's so many nicknames. I don't know
So many.
which one are we sticking with tonight.
I think you call me Birdie mostly, so I'm cool with Birdie for tonight.
Birdie, and Bird, and everything. That's
Yeah.
fine and everything. But
Yeah.
yeah, this is the beginning. This is season 2. We have some new upgraded stuff here, so it's gonna take me a little bit to get used to this Bird's word. I hate that fucking song, Metalhead, and you fucking know that. I'm pretty sure you do. I hate that song. Oh my god.
It's stuck in your head, doesn't it?
Right? That's an
Yeah.
earworm song and everything. But Bird, tell us a little bit about yourself and everything. You were going to be episode 2, but we had some issues, so now you're the opener. No pressure whatsoever and
None.
everything. But
Fine.
tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Songbird. You can call me Bird or L, like Goth said. I have been streaming for 5 years. I took a bit of a break for a little bit of time, but I'm super happy to be back and be part of the communities that I found myself in over the last year or so. It's really been a beautiful time for me in streaming, and I'm very, very grateful for it. Um, I am learning to game better through streaming. Goth has watched me struggle through Hollow Knight here recently.
This is
and
what, the 6th month on Hollow Knight? It's been about almost half a year.
uh it's been about almost, yeah, I started in August. So we're heading on towards half a year with Hollow Knight. But it's beautiful, and it's one of those games that I can take time off of and come back to and still enjoy. Um but I love games with heart, basically things like Fallout or Last of Us, that kind of stuff. Learning to love retro jams and Metroidvanias, but mostly what I love is just stories that have heart, which you'll hear
Mhm.
about with my favorite movies. So
I feel that immensely with The Witcher, because I took breaks off of The Witcher because it's so
mhm.
much. And then Baldur's Gate 3, I worked myself into a burnout because I played it every
Yeah.
day for so much, and it's a really
Ooh.
well crafted game, but there's so
Hmm.
much into it, to the point that it's like I need a break. And then, like, I think I
Yeah.
came back like 4 or 5 months later, and then I'm
Hmm.
like, we're finishing it. We're fucking finishing this and everything. It's all like, I'm finishing this
Yeah.
campaign. Um,
Yeah.
but we're gonna sit there and talk about how long have you been a streamer?
So I started in 2019. I streamed for about a year, and then I took a couple years off. So I resumed in like fall of 2022.
Hmm.
And so I would really say that I started kind of taking it seriously in fall of 2022, and now we're going into 2025. But I do celebrate from 2019 on because I still have friends. I'm so grateful. Friends from 2019 that are still around, still come to stream, still hang out, even after the break. And so I have been doing that for, it feels like forever, and in a wonderful way.
I agree and everything. It still tickles me when I see people that follow me close to day one. They're like maybe
Hmm.
month 1 or 2, and I'm like, holy
Yeah.
shit! Like, you're still on here. Like, I figured
Right.
I
Like,
figured post COVID, everyone that
right.
didn't want to be on here anymore, they just got rid of their accounts.
Right. But
But
some of them stayed, and it's wonderful.
it is wonderful when you see those that you started out with, and then they come back and you're like, holy crap, like, it all grew. It's
Yeah.
like, it's like having your first apartment, and then like that friend that, comes over to your house, and you're like, oh my god, you upgraded. It looks
Yeah.
beautiful, hard work. uh
Right.
Before we jump into your movies, I have one thing I definitely did point out. The
Mhm.
overall theme, and I guess today, folks,
Mhm.
we are covering fantasy. We're covering the fantasy series and film media. I don't want to sit there and throw all the chickens out of what we're covering, because I like to surprise you guys. I like to be like, okay, we'll cover this, we'll cover that, and everything.
Mhm.
But you have a outstanding list here that I cannot wait to get
Yeah.
into. Most of it is very quotable, and one of
Mhm.
them I had just recently just brushed through like the story, and I'm like, I don't recall any of this. All I know was it was a painting, and that was the
Yep.
entire thing. That
Oh,
was it. It was beautiful, but that was it.
yeah.
Um, so we're gonna jump right into our first film of today, Rob Reiner's The Princess Bride. Probably one of the few films that is perfect.
Mhm. I
So,
agree.
so tell us about The Princess Bride. What made you pick this one?
Oh God, I mean, I grew up watching that film. We talked a bit about the movies that I grew up with, and Princess Bride is one of them. And I think it's because it is the way that it's told as a story to a child within the story. Like that, I think was an easy in for my parents of like, this is obviously it's a cool format. Um, there's it truly they talk about it in the movie. There's sword fighting, there's revenge, there's true love, there's miracles. Like that's everything you could want in a good fantasy story
Hmm.
is in The Princess Bride, and they do it so well. And it's not super heavy handed. It's funny. It's witty. The acting is incredible, and it's true love. Like what else do you want?
It's I don't know why, but I always hearken when I see this. It also makes me think of Robin Hood Men in Tights, as that's like
Yep.
almost like that's the perfect medieval comedy and
Yep.
everything. Not to come at
Grew up on it too.
not to come at Myth's Knight's Tale, which to me I think what kind of separates that also too is the heart again of
Yes.
that story
Hmm.
with it. So yeah, Princess Bride, so much to cover. We've kind of like brushed over or glossed over quite a bit of it. What's one of the biggest things that stands out for this film for you? A specific scene.
Honestly, oh god, a specific scene? I feel like um the scene in with Miracle Max when they're going and trying to get the pill for the Wesley whenever he's mostly dead, right? Like it's so funny and so kind of goofy, but like there is that the way that Inigo kind of fights for, please, we have to get this for him. We have to do this for our friend. He's fighting for true love. We're fighting for him. Like that little beautiful kind of, there is heart in all of the humor that's there.
Yeah.
And also Billy Crystal as Miracle Max. Like, come on, man.
I didn't even know that was him.
Yeah.
And like growing
He's
up, I knew him for Analyze That, and that was it.
mm,
So when
hmm
I found out years later that I was like, I was like, what? And it's like, and his wife Carol Kane in it, and I was like,
yeah.
wait,
Oh, she's so
what? Huh?
good. Yeah. They're so good, and I think that everybody that acts in that film is it's just top tier.
Hmm.
It's just top tier people, and so well done. And I think that they play off each other well, and all that kind of stuff. It just that encapsulates like the silliness, but also the heart.
Even Andre the Giant, which really
Yes. Oh.
I think he did another movie. I don't think that Princess Bride was like his only one, but even for like a pro
Hmm.
wrestler, that this is like a little bit more almost close to peak his career. And
Yeah.
like, it's like he's still able to do all of this, and it's all like, oh
Hmm.
my god. So, this film also came to me because I'm a wrestling fan at heart, so I was like, look,
Oh,
Andre
okay.
the
Yeah.
Giant's in this,
Mhm.
like, is Hulk
Right.
Hogan in this? And believe it or not, I'll watch an Andre the Giant film any day of the damn week. A Roddy Piper one too. I will not watch a
Uh-huh.
Hulk Hogan one. Terrible,
Interesting.
terrible films.
I saw him and his family at Universal Studios when I went on a band trip in like 2004. And I was just sitting there, I was like, is that Hulk Hogan? What? It was the weirdest thing.
There's also like a funny thing that goes with the terrible Hogan films. He actually had the Undertaker in one. This was before he
Oh
became the
boy.
Undertaker. So
Mm.
I think it was Suburban Commando, and he played like what was like this just evil mercenary dude that's supposed to fight Hogan. And I'm all
Mm.
like, I was like, what the fuck is this? And apparently that was like, I think right before he became the Undertaker in
Ah,
WWE. I was like, that's how they saved the gimmick right there, brother, and
yeah.
everything was. It was like before, it's like before he could play the dead man, let's let him have this one little role, fight Hogan, and then
Yeah.
he'll keep kayfabe and not do anything else but wrestle as that character for like 20 plus odd years.
Right.
But uh, going back to Miracle Max, which that scene on its own. Uh,
Hmm.
did you hear about the story of how pretty much
No.
that whole scene, there was 30 minutes of improv,
Uh-huh. Of
and
course there was
and
with them.
I
Yeah.
it was like the most expensive scene ever because Billy Crystal just kept improving, and like everyone
Really?
else is like just trying to keep a straight face, and they're trying to go along with it, and
Uh-huh.
it's like we need to see that. We need to see.
I would give so much money to see that 30 minutes.
I mean, Disney Plus is all about like, needing content and everything. I was like,
Yeah.
just release that. Like, you don't have to release it edited or anything like that. Just throw it in there of
Yeah.
like, hey, this was like the whole behind the scenes thing, 30 freaking minutes. Just like Carol Kane and Billy Crystal just go at it with these guys, and you can release it as a short film. You can release it as a
Right.
short film and everything, and be like, look, it's a short film to The Princess Bride. People be like, oh,
Hmm.
we don't like sequels, and I was like, actually, no, this was filmed
Right.
during the making. So your point in here, your opinion is
Yeah.
pointless and everything at that.
Just watch them being masters of their craft. Like,
Yeah,
just so good.
and
Yeah.
and the thing about The Princess Brides that I also really enjoy is the story of it's not Chris Sarandon, it's not Christopher Guest. What is his name? The one that plays Inigo Montoya.
Oh,
Uh
what is his name? Mandy Patinkin.
yes.
Yeah.
How he lost his father to cancer
Yeah.
during the filming of that. And so that scene where
Hmm.
he's going up against Chris Sarandon's character,
Hmm.
um, and right, yeah, I think it was Chris
Yeah.
Sarandon. It was that or Christopher Guest. I think it was Christopher Guest
Christopher Guest
because
was tied up at the same time.
that was the man with
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
the iron hand, and like they go through that whole fight and how like he's getting all
Yeah.
stabbed and everything, but he keeps fighting. And
Yeah.
I think it was Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum that I heard that story, and they were just
Hmm.
talking about how like, yeah, my father had just died from cancer, and so like every time that he would say that line, it had so much power into it because
Yeah.
in a sense he was fighting the cancer that took his own father. And I'm like,
Yeah.
learning all these like little stories about this film, I'm just like, oh my god, it makes the film so much
Yeah.
more, you know, yeah,
Very impactful.
very,
But like I think because I heard that story, again, I grew up watching this film and I heard that story, what, 10 years ago. And so when I recently watched it with a friend, and when watching his face when he says, "I want my father back, you son of a bitch." It's just, and having lost my father since the last time that I watched Princess Bride,
oh
it's and to cancer, also. So it's one of those things of like having known that story, having grown up watching the story, my father introducing me to the story, and then watching his face when he said that, it was just like a whole new kind of gut punch of meaning for that
yeah.
line for sure.
But because like I always find when you learn these stories right here, I think it does add like a little bit of an extra shine to an actor's performance,
For sure.
because when Dee Wallace did Cujo, she had lost her husband and everything. And
Mm,
so
hmm.
um or no, it wasn't Cujo, it was when she was doing the Frighteners and everything. So like a
Hmm.
lot of that manic energy that she had in that
Yeah.
movie, that was just her just venting it all out for
Yeah.
losing her husband. And
Man.
it makes you go back, even if like maybe you didn't sit there seeing, you didn't think that role was maybe good enough, when you hear those backstories. And The
Hmm.
Princess Bride has a lot of them. We're not going to be able to cover
Yeah.
all of it, but like The Princess
Right.
Bride has a ton of
Hmm.
like, a lot of what the actors went through, and it sparks an inner joy of like, wow, they were
Hmm.
able to overcome this, and in a
Right.
sense combat, whatever was ailing
Hmm.
them at the time. uh the lead, Robin Wright, I think
Hmm.
like I kind of really wish that we had more films here outside of Disney that we actually did had the female protagonist is like, I'm not going to be saved by some man, because that
Hmm.
entire time when she's fighting Wesley,
Right. She's
yeah,
like, listen, it's not happening, buddy. I'm throwing you down the hill. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're the Dread Pirate Robbers. I don't care. I'm gonna fucking you. She's like, I'm already dead inside, basically. You can't do anything to me, so fuck you. It's great.
yeah. And like I don't know how many people grew up watching this film, and it's all like, it's like not many people ever say, I want to grow up to be just like Robin Wright and
Right.
everything.
Yeah.
But like I think also too, she did what, almost a few years later, she did Forrest Gump, and she played Jenny, right?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think she was.
So I
Yeah.
think that's also why it's like, oh, she's a princess we want to be, and then, oh, you fucking treated Forrest like shit. Fuck you, bitch.
Right. I know. God, that movie is a whole nother can of worms.
It is and everything. Oh, and we did actually cover that with
Oh yeah.
Stevie Streams. We covered that. That was one of his
Nice.
favorite films. See, it all comes full circle, which I really
It
enjoy.
does.
I never really sat there and think it ever does that, but it all comes
Hmm.
full circle when we talk about like these other films. Do you have
Hmm.
any final thoughts on Princess Bride before we get into all of the silliness?
If you haven't seen it, watch it. That's it. It's a beautiful, funny, well acted, well performed, just fantastic story.
I do know in the US you can watch it on Disney Plus. I do not know about the overseas market. You guys may have to sit there and check that out. It'll probably get thrown on Tubi or somewhere else.
Yeah,
Peacock, maybe. That's generally
right.
probably where to get thrown at. But we're moving on to the wonderful, which I gotta say, Rob Reiner does not get enough love. He's not a
So
director that
true.
gets talked about a lot. This is a man. Before we jump into our funnies, Rob Reiner is a iconic director of, Throw Mama from a Train. If you have not seen that, I fucking guarantee you go watch
I
that.
have not.
You have not. So there's a funny
No.
scene. If you love Danny DeVito, you gotta watch this movie because it's Billy Crystal.
Okay.
Billy Crystal's
Oh
in
my
it.
God. Okay.
So Billy, it's been a while since I've seen it, but there's a scene in which Billy's having uh, breakfast with Danny DeVito, and the angry, bitchy mama played by I'm trying to find. I think, yeah, Anne Ramsey, which you
Mhm.
guys will probably know her from the Goonies. She was the villain in the Goonies.
Oh
Um,
my God.
they're having breakfast and she walks into the room. She's like, "Who the hell is this?" He's like, "Oh, this is your cousin Sammy and everything." And he's like, "He just came over from such and such." And Billy Crystal just kind of smiles at her like, "Hello,"
Hmm.
and she's like, "You don't have a cousin Sammy." And he just looks at him. Bill, like Danny just looks at him. He's like, "You lie to me." Picks up a fucking skillet and smacks him in the fucking
Oh
face
my
with
God.
it. And I'm like, "Oh
Oh
my god!" And it's
no.
pure. Rob Reiner does amazing comedy. So if you love The
Yeah.
Princess Bride, you'll love Throw Mama from a Train. It's
Yeah.
oh
I
my
will
god.
add that to my list for sure.
That's a list for a film you guys got to see. Sleepless in Seattle. I think I've seen this only a
Hmm.
handful of times. It's not my
Hmm.
favorite Tom Hanks movie. It's not my favorite one.
No. Yeah.
Um, I'm trying to sit there and think. What was the other one? He did Wolf of Wall Street. Uh,
Hmm.
but also too, he did This Is Spinal Tap. That was his directorial debut, which was a heavy metal mockumentary. He did
Yeah.
that one. He did Stand By Me, which is the first Stephen King
Mm.
property that he did. That River Phoenix in that 10 out of 10. Like that
Hmm.
actor
For
did
sure.
not get enough props and everything. When Harry Met Sally, so that's like his third
Hmm.
time working with Billy Crystal.
Hmm.
Wonderful, wonderful. And then of course Misery. To me, that's my favorite one of his is Misery.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
with uh,
Fantastic film.
crap. I'm already forgetting
Kathy
the actors,
Bates.
Kathy Bates and James Caan. And
Yeah. Hmm.
I love how James is like always like so calm. It's all like, it's all like please can you just give me the pills and everything. And she's like, well no, because then you can't write and everything. Or he's like, please let me go. She's like, I can't let you go and everything. And then of course
Yeah.
that's where you get the chopping block scene, and it's like
Ooh.
that's a good
Yeah.
one. But Rob Reiner, folks, go watch it. He's also done A Few Good Men. So if you do love your
Hmm.
good, I guess you would call that like a wartime courtroom
Yeah.
procedural. Uh,
Hmm.
Rob Reiner has done everything, and he does
Hmm.
do master classes for filmmakers. If you guys are in the chat or watching on YouTube, he does do a master class in storytelling, and that is
Hmm.
something you should never skip. I'm
Yeah.
trying to
For
save
sure.
up to get one of those master classes by him, but
Oh, that's awesome.
onward from the great works of Rob Reiner, we're moving into the wonderful world of Terry Jones and Terry Gilliam. No, we're not going to get all weird surrealist and everything, but we are going to get pretty silly, a little too silly for maybe some tasting. Monty Python and the Holy Grail. So I got to know, when did you discover Monty Python?
Literally, I grew up watching Monty Python and the Holy Grail. There were some scenes that we had to fast forward through, but from the time that I can remember, I have watched Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
You had to fast forward through certain scenes?
My parents fast forwarded through. There were a couple of scenes that were in the original that were the scene in the castle with all of the virgins.
I love that one. That's the best one. It's like, you will give
It's
her
so
a
good.
spanking, and then after you're done, you will spank me and me and me. And I'm
Yeah,
all like,
exactly.
yeah.
So
And
that was fast forwarded through. But other than that, like I think yeah, since I was can remember watching films, I've watched Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
oh dear Lord, I love that. And everything. Did you watch any of the other films or their
um,
TV series?
I watched a bit of the TV series. We had some, again, this grew up watching it on VHS, right? And so we had a VHS of where they had just recorded from TV. some of the Monty Python show. And as I got older, I've looked at more skits and stuff like that. But it was, I mean, it was household quoting every single day, either the Monty Python show or Holy Grail, for sure.
For the younger members of the audience, which really, I guess, like, you had to have at least been maybe born in 2006, at least,
Mhm.
and everything. A VHS is a tape that goes into a
Oh
VHS
no!
player. And by the recording, what
Oh,
they meant is all
hysterically.
like, yeah, we did commit piracy in many of households because, you either couldn't find it at the stores, or the tapes were too damn expensive to like physically buy. So you just bought the ones that you record on, and you go to
And it wasn't
HBO.
illegal.
Yeah, it kind of was, but
No,
it wasn't.
technically, shh, it
Yeah.
wasn't. We
There's a,
weren't distributing it. We were watching it at home.
yes, it wasn't distributing for profit. It was just so we had it because
Right.
we just probably couldn't have. So when you mentioned VHS, and I was like, oh god, I feel so old. Like, I came in right at the coattail of the VHS boom.
Mm,
Really, probably maybe the middle, because the VHS boom was the 80s. I was a
yeah.
93 baby, so like we always watched everything from VHS. If you had
Mhm.
a film epic like Titanic, you had to watch it on 2 tapes.
Yes. Mhm.
And someone, if you ever wanted to rewatch it, someone was bound to fuck up and never rewind it. So
Yep. You
so
had
when
to
you
wait.
pop it in, it's like, oh shit, I gotta rewind this, and this is gonna take me about 5 fucking minutes because
All
of how
right.
long
Well,
and
yeah.
everything. But Monty Python and the Holy Grail, an outstanding, wonderful piece of British comedy, starring Graham Chapman, John Cleese, Terry Gilliam, Eric Idle, Terry Jones, Michael Palin. At least the majority of these guys aren't with us
Mhm.
anymore, and
Yeah.
these guys, uh, from the 70s until then, I still think at some of their age they can still pop off some of the best freaking comedy, especially John
Oh,
Cleese.
yeah.
John's a bit of a
Yes.
curmudgeon a little bit today, but if you
You're
get him in
right.
the right mood, he can make you laugh.
Yeah.
But what were some of the scenes that you would always quote so often around the household?
Oh god, like all of them. The Black Knight scene, we would say that all the time. Your legs off. I'll bite your legs off. Like that stuff is one we would do. We would do the scene where the Frenchman in the castle and then Arthur and his knights talking to the Frenchman. We would do that back and forth. And then of course, Tim the Enchanter at toward the very end with big sharp pointy teeth like this. That was all the time, like so good. And then for in ninth grade, I did a monologue from like him reading from the Book of Armaments, chapter 3, verses 9 to 21. I did that as my audition for a show, and I got like a tiny role.
the
This is back when I had very small aspirations of doing theater work.
the
But
holy hand
the
grenade of Antioch.
the Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch. Yeah, it was I did that as my monologue, and the director actually told me, he was like, "Yeah, we're doing spam a lot." Because he was from a different school, and so he said, "Yeah, we're doing spam a lot at my school, and you convinced me to put uh, that scene back in because it's so funny and you did it so well." And I was like, "Thanks."
Did you get to like act in that scene? Like, did you kind of get the?
No, no,
That's like, that was like the
I wish.
perfect audition then, and it's like, you
Right?
make me put
Yeah,
that back in the film. It's like, am I getting the scene? No, fuck no. It's like,
yeah,
well, and everything. Can you
I know.
can you still recite?
Oh God. Book of Armaments, chapter 3, verses 9 to 21. And God, I don't remember all of it. No. If I could like get the beginning of it, maybe I could. But it's been literally since ninth grade, and that was a shamefully long time ago. Do you want to know how long that's been? That's been 20 years. I'm old. I'm so old.
I'm like over here. It's like, when did I graduate? Oh, 12 years ago. I graduated 12 years ago from high school.
Yep. I was gonna say if you're a 90, I was 90 was when I was born, so you're
Yeah.
only 3 years younger than me. So
Yeah.
also the train is here. I'm so sorry.
I don't hear it.
You'll
You're
hear.
good.
Okay, good.
You're
Good.
fine and everything.
Okay.
With technology, we have noise cancellation. Now, if only they could
True.
still cancel out the people who mow the grass. They still haven't
Golly,
they haven't worked that one
that's
out.
egregious.
You have no clue how many podcasts I've listened to where they're like, I apologize, like someone's mowing the lawn outside. And I was like, dude, you have better freaking podcast equipment than I can. You can't freaking edit that shit out. And it's like, nope, we
Right?
still haven't. created the cancellation yet for lawnmowers and everything. But
You can ask Vagelis and Zai that are in chat right now. They have heard the Landlord Chronicles of literally every time I choose a stream in the summertime. It's like it doesn't matter if it's Saturday or Sunday, whatever day, even if they've done long work like the day before, if it's Sunday and I stream, they will still come on Sunday and do more long work, like starting when I start streaming. I'm like, are you listening for me to start talking? Is that when you start doing this on purpose?
they're
Like,
there with those old school medieval
yeah,
like horn
up
things,
to
and
the window.
they're like, she pressed start. Yes, boys, let's go for it. You know, and
That's what it seems like sometimes. It's ridiculous.
um,
Anyway.
Monty Python, for those guys that do not know, it's silliest of comedies and everything. But with Holy Grail, they did what they did on their TV show on a massive scale. And one of the things that I did really enjoy growing up watching it was it mixed animation. It
Yes,
mixed
it's
animation
so
in with
good.
its comedy. And I liked that when they knew that they kind of hit a brick wall where like, oh, this is where the budget kind of went out. That
Hmm.
I think it was Terry Jones that did the illustrations and everything. Terry would sit there and like when they fought the dragon
Yeah.
and everything, like the whole dragon, and it's all like, and the knights fought valiantly against the dragon, but to no avail. They could not defeat him until the animator
Yeah.
had a heart attack, and like that's how they ended that whole damn scene. And I'm all like, holy freaking hell. And one of my favorite scenes too is when God is speaking to them and you're like, oh, stop
Yes.
that groveling, and
Don't
oh, I
grumble.
am not worthy of this, and I'm not worthy of that. It gets on my nerves, and like,
Yes.
and it's
It's
just,
so good.
it's so like animated so well. And
Yeah.
I still can't figure out who the hell they had for God in there. It almost looked like
No.
it was Graham for a
It might
moment
have been.
and everything. Like
Yeah.
they just put the beard on him and everything, and they just had him animated. But like
Yeah.
these guys were like the pre-YouTube dudes, where they would mix
Honestly.
in some of like that weird animation style. And
Hmm.
you know, not many people really talk about them all too much, other than the fact
Yeah.
that most modern day people be like, well, they're old men, why are we going to talk about them? It's like, bitch,
Yeah.
most of the comedy you're into was because
It
of
started
them.
by them.
It
Yep.
started by a bunch of silly Brits, you know,
Yeah.
that just went wild and everything.
Hmm.
uh a serious question:
Hmm.
can a swallow carry a coconut?
If it grips it by the husk, what if it strung it from a string?
There you go. Is it an African swallow or a European swallow?
I don't remember what they say in the movie. It's been so long since I've seen it. No.
They never have the answer. That's the great thing
That's
about it.
true. I don't know if you're into Magic the Gathering at all.
Only what
But
you've streamed.
okay, well, they did a Princess Bride crossover. Here is the box if it'll show. It says As You Wish.
Hmm.
So we have this, and then this year they did a Monty Python collab as well. So I got both sets of cards because of course I did.
Like,
Um,
is it already in, or
so-
has it not yet shipped?
yeah, they've already there. It's already in. I don't have the case for it anymore, and they're like interspersed. And I was gonna try and pull them out, but that would have been a large undertaking to find them from my where I've put them into decks and everything.
Yeah.
But they did a really it's really fun when they do those crossovers of like well beloved pieces of media that they bring
Yeah.
into that, and it's so I had to get those.
That's freaking lovely. Like, we're gonna have to sit there
Mhm.
and see that at a later date and everything.
Oh
But
yeah, I got you.
I'm pretty sure you did an unboxing on stream before, though, right?
I did. I
Okay.
did for Monty Python. I did. Yeah.
Okay. There's so much to really talk about Monty Python. I'm really trying to sit there and figure out where the hell do we actually, because I like, if folks, if you go into this film thinking you're gonna get like a straight narrative, you're not. Like most Monty Python films, it's all like a level of different skits. Even when you look at Life of Brian,
Hmm.
Life of Brian, even though it was like one central theme and everything, like there was like so much going on. Like
Yeah.
my favorite one for that one was they couldn't hear what Jesus was saying during like one of his preaches. It was like, you know,
Mhm.
all something that the cheese, all blessed the cheesemakers. He was like,
Yeah.
that's not what he said. And it's like, that's what I heard. And it's all like, it's like, well, I guess since we didn't hear what he said, I guess all blessed the cheesemakers or something like
Right,
this.
exactly.
And all I'm just like, oh dear Lord. Um,
It's so good.
the spanking. I'm sorry, we have to go back to that one because I think that has to be one of the best scenes ever. With I think it was Michael Palin as Sir Robin and everything. It was like him and
Uh,
everyone having to go in there just to go save Terry Jones because
oh, it's Sir Galahad the Pure because
yeah,
I don't remember who it was, but yes, Sir Galahad the Pure is the one that went in there.
But
And then he
because
was saved by, oh, who was it?
he was saved by Sir Robin, and he was saved by Arthur, Lancelot.
Yeah, Lancelot like stormed in and like dragged him out.
And it's all like, he's like, I can handle it. Like, I can handle it. It's like, no. The evil is too great here and everything. And the main reason that these characters even all come here was because I think Galahad the Pure ended up sending his little squire, which, you know,
Yeah.
the whole coconuts and everything,
Coconuts.
sent
Yeah.
them because he's all like, you know, oh, we found the Holy Grail. And it was like,
Right.
it was just a little light. And like
I love that they had a grail shaped beacon because like they were just totally luring in men. Like, come on. It's
yeah.
so ridiculous.
But what's great about that is while these men are trying to pull Galahad at, who's like, oh no, the evil's too great, you can't handle it. Oh, I think I can. And like,
Yeah.
the girl's like, no, he doesn't even have a chance. And then after they
Right.
leave, and the first woman that's leading this whole, you know, sisterhood or maidenhood is like, shit. And it's all like, it's like, I wonder how often do they get men by to the point that it's like, we just like, you know, we just want that premarital sex or whatever, that free sex, and then they lost one, and it's like, shit. It's like,
It's so ridiculous. Oh, I love it. It's just, yeah, but that, like I said, that was, so I grew up watching, they either fast forwarded through it or like did not record it when they were watching the movie. I can't remember which it was. So I remember the first time that I saw that scene, I was like, what? Like, I didn't know what to think about it because I was just like, holy shit, it was this whole different thing. Yeah, it's wild.
and your parents are probably sitting there still uncomfortable with the scene with a grown child, and it's
Yeah.
all like, yeah, no, there was a reason we did not record that scene. And
You're right.
it's like we had to play film editor over here with
A little
what it
bit.
is.
Chop up that VHS.
Pretty much. And one thing that I also really enjoy about this film is, of course, the reoccurring castle scene where they go to the Frenchman and everything.
Yes.
And I think they did have the Grail, but I don't think that they were just willing to open it and everything. Or they claimed they had the Grail at first.
They claimed, yeah.
And everything.
Yeah.
And they were like, well, we have mini Grail in here. It's like,
Right.
but you don't know which is.
But you can't come in and get it. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't come in, and then they start shooting the cows and everything. And the ending, I think even through all the silliness, the ending is the one that's like is super out of it. Because there's a small thing that happens. I think it's right after when they're running away from the Frenchmen and they're all shooting all this shit, and they go and they ran over a reporter who just randomly is someone of the modern day reporting in on, you know, what's going on here.
Yeah.
Like, you know, she gets run over, and then the end of the movie, which is probably not my favorite ending to a Monty Python film, is you know, the cops have come and they've arrested all of them.
Oh, that's the historian that's talking about the film. He gets stabbed by a knight. And then the cops come and like the ambulance comes and they take him off.
Was that what the hell they were being arrested for?
Yeah, it's he was a historian that was walking around and was basically commentating on it like it was like he was doing a documentary.
Yeah.
And then one of the knights comes through and stabs him, and then you see this lady run up to him and she's like crying, and then they intersperse the scene of like him being loaded onto a stretcher and then like a cop taking a good night off. It's so good.
So was that then when, oh my god, it's John Cleese's character, I know it for sure, that was when he kept constantly running through the hill, and then he kept like going through it because he was reading the letter and everything.
Yeah.
And it's all like, you know, no, you're gonna marry this woman, and you know you're gonna enjoy, because I think their castle was sinking, like they were just like on really, really bad land. And like it's like, I don't wish to marry her, I wish to sing. And it's like,
Oh my God,
you will not do any of that. Like, no.
The prince. Oh my God. He's going to tell. It's so good. I love that prince. It's so good.
Yeah. And then of course, like when he's getting ready to send the letter out, and like all the knights are like, yeah. You know, because he can't leave the room, and he's just like smiles, writes the letter without breaking eye contact, bong,
throws it out,
and everything, and they're like, yeah, mate. And it's so weird because before I saw this, I grew up, for what was supposed to be British comedy, I grew up on Austin Powers. So I got like all those tropes. He was like, yeah, baby. And like all that. So seeing them, they're like, yeah. And I'm all like, I was like, oh, that's kind of scary that you know, what Mike Myers did was like actually accurate to what British people would sit
Hmm.
there and do. So was that supposed to
Yeah.
be the scene right there where like he just runs through and just kills them and then like he moves on?
It's like,
It has been a while,
so
folks, so I do have some of my Monty Python mixed up.
Lancelot comes in to save this prince, um, from thinking that the prince is a maiden based on the way that he wrote the letter. Lancelot comes in and he's like slaughtering all of these people because he's like, I'm gonna, kill everybody and save you, whatever. He finds out that it's the prince, and then either before, again, it's been a long time since I've seen it too. Either before or after, like that's when they cut to the documentary historian, and in his rage where he's killing everybody and slaughtering everybody to save the princess, he kills the historian, and then you kind of see that interspersed in there, and then you see Lancelot realizing it's not a princess and like all that stuff. So yeah.
It's been a while and everything, but like really it's kind of hard to remember what all goes into what piece. All you do is remember the
Yeah,
fragments and you remember the scenarios,
the quotable stuff. Yeah.
the quotable stuff, you know. Some call me Tim, or
Some call me Tim.
let's not go to Camelot, it is a silly place.
It's a silly place. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things of just like there are all of these lines that everybody has heard 600 times, and it's
Yeah.
just so good.
Yeah. Folks, go watch it if you have not seen this. Even though, yeah, technically he's probably spoiled maybe 60% of the fucking film. But like
But it's just all skits. It's
it's
fine.
watching it in action. It's watching what
Yeah.
these guys do in action. And
Hmm.
again, like it's funny with like under the budget constraints of what they've had.
Hmm.
Because I want to sit there and say, I don't think The Holy Grail was their first film. I think it was something
I don't
else
think so, no.
before they did that. And so they
Yeah.
didn't have the budget for it. And so it's like, well, what about the
Mhm.
horses? It's like, well, we'll just get the guys to go around with the
Just get
coconut
coconuts.
and
Yeah.
and it works.
Yeah.
It all works to it and everything. It's like Camelot, Camelot. It's only a model. Shh. And it's like so it's hiding even the budgetary constraints of the film.
Right.
It's even meta to itself. And
Yeah.
you guys got to freaking watch this if you guys haven't.
Breaking that fourth wall.
Before we move on, we'll kind of step aside from Holy Grail to look at it's the Monty Python's Flying Circus TV show.
Hmm.
Is there a specific skit that you think anyone else should also see, maybe before seeing Monty Python or before the Holy Grail or after the Holy Grail?
Either before or after, but the spam scene is so good.
Spam,
The
spam,
spam,
spam.
spam, 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 X and spam. Yeah.
For me, I always go to it's the bird store.
And the bird, yes, those were the two that we had on VHS. Those were the two scenes that I grew up
Because
watching. Was
I
those two?
think that was the same episode too. And
Yeah,
everything
yeah.
where like you would get like this it was that, and then there was like another skit where the guy goes to like a cheese store
Hmm.
and he's like, oh well, I wish to have you know, do you have any Gouda? And he was like, nope, we're all out. And it's all like,
Right.
all right, well, what about this? He was like, nah, we just ran out this morning and everything. Oh, do you have this? He's like, oh, we had to throw it away yesterday.
Yeah.
Well, what do you have? And it's
Hmm.
like, well, I think they only said to really have cheddar. He's like, it's
Right.
not the only cheese. It's like it's the most, or no. I think he asked for cheddar. We ain't got cheddar. It's the most popular cheese. It's like, we just don't carry that. Um,
Yeah.
but the bird one, where the guy orders a bird, he's like, I came into the store here, earlier today, and I thought that I bought a live bird, and now it seems like it isn't. He's like, oh, but that bird is alive. He's like, no, it's not. It's all like, look at it. It's nailed to the fucking post. If it wasn't nailed there, it'd be pushing up daisies. And then he proceeds to take the bird out, even though it's supposed to be nailed to a post. He's like, hello, Polly. And he starts beating the fucking bird on it. And then he looks at Terry Jones straight in the face. He's like, see, it is dead. He's like, no, it's not. It's sleeping. He's like, sleeping? It's like, so
Oh, God.
welcome in Chrissy
It's
Cupcakes and everyone
chaos.
coming in here. But yeah, we ended up giving you guys like about like 3 damn skits, 3 to 4 and everything.
Yeah,
Spam,
just go watch it.
Spam a lot is one of the best ones. That one was like the one I didn't get it quite at first. And I think it was just because
Hmm.
like me at a young age, just like I hate spam. Who the fuck eats
Right. Yeah.
spam? But like
Yeah.
growing up, and it's all like, oh dear lord, it's like this is probably got to be
Hmm.
one of the best skits ever. It ages so freaking well.
Yeah.
Anything about the witty British comedy before we get really deep? That's what she said.
Yeah,
But
that's AO. First of all, AO. Second of all, but I think that if you are a fan of British comedy or British humor at all, and you've not seen Monty Python, I don't know how it's possible, but it probably is possible. Give it a watch. Don't just watch Holy Grail or Life of Brian. Do look at their sketch show.
Mhm.
It really does showcase their range and their fantastic abilities because again doing what they do and being so good at it and a lot of their stuff being foundational for types of comedy,
Yeah.
they really were groundbreaking, so definitely give it a watch.
There's also one thing I do have to say. When you do watch The Flying Circus, you are never given the same monologue of beginning or end. And
Nope.
these guys do very, very well to like I don't know why not many TV shows do it. I guess also too it's probably for the crunch time, but when they did Flying Circus and they would do certain monologues, they'll have a full fucking investigation. Some type of
Hmm.
crime scene investigation, and it'll probably be maybe 5 to 8 minutes before you even get the actual opening line.
Yep.
And then it'll finally go this, and then like it's just this dramatic zoom in, and it's like,
Hmm.
this is Monty Python's Flying Circus, and it's all like,
Yep.
it's like, wow, we're like a third of the way through the episode, and he finally gave us the opening thing, and they kept you on your
Hmm.
toes. It's definitely
Hmm.
that type of comedy. It keeps you on your toes, so you can't just put it on and think, I know what's gonna happen, this is gonna happen, and then that
Right.
and that is like, no. I really do wish
Yep.
a lot of comedy shows did this for sketch. Like
Hmm.
SNL. I wish that SNL did
Right.
something. Maybe it would probably make their shows more watchable today. Um,
Mm.
but also too, if you do love Monty Python and everything that troupe does, also check out a lot of Terry Gilliam stuff.
Hmm.
His stuff is very surreal, but Terry has some very good comedy and with like a lot of his dystopian stuff, and it's actually
Hmm.
kind of shocking how like very dark his mind can be. And it's like, I
Yeah.
was like, this is the guy that probably wrote Spam, the whole
Right.
Spam a lot thing.
Yeah.
And then like, you look at like the I think it's like the boys from Brazil. No, the movie Brazil. You look at that
Hmm.
one, which it's super artistic, and
Hmm.
you'll find like a lot of art house stuff from Terry Gilliam. Um,
Hmm.
so this
He got
one,
range.
yes, he does. And
Hmm.
I'm actually surprised that not many of the other guys kind of got that. Like Eric Idle, kind of he came in and out. I
Yeah.
before I saw him in Monty Python, I saw him in Casper. I don't know if
Okay.
if you've
Yeah.
seen that one, where
Uh-uh.
he's Kerrigan's bitch and everything.
Oh my god.
Essentially, it's like
No.
he's like the henchman to her,
Uh-huh.
and when she's like a ghost finally and everything, he's all like, no, I got the power and everything, and you're dead. And so
Ah.
it's like he's finally tired of being kicked around, and
Mhm.
she's like over here, she's like, yeah, well, you forgot something first. He's like, oh, and then he goes and she knocks him the fuck out of the laboratory, and he goes and falls to his death somewhere, and she's
Oh
like,
no.
over here, has like the little vial thing that's gonna turn her back to being like a human and everything. And
Uh-huh.
yeah, no, that was my first introduction to Eric Idle before meeting him
Gotcha.
in any of that.
Mhm.
John Cleese always just played a stuck-up British asshole and
Mhm.
everything else, so
Mhm.
I saw him before I saw Monty Python. I can't think Grant Chapman, I can't think I've seen him in anything else. I think he's mostly only done Monty
No.
Python, and he died
Yeah.
way too young.
And you really did. Yeah.
And let's use that as a transition scene to one of our heavy fantasy dramas.
Yes.
Comedian dies, so we're gonna sit there. Oh shit, that's not really a really good transition. That's gonna hurt.
Yep, that is gonna hurt.
Oh my god. So where dreams may come, take it away. I don't know any way how to transition from that without crying.
That's okay. That is totally fine. So What Dreams May Come, I think was made in 1998, excuse
88.
me. Yeah. And it is Robin Williams and Annabella Sciorra uh giving two of the most beautiful, nuanced performances of their careers, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's basically Robin Williams' character. He's a doctor, he's a pediatrician, I'm pretty sure. Um, and his wife is an artist. And you open the film and it's him and her and their three kids and all that stuff. And so they're like just living their lives, and you kind of see the intense love that Robin Williams has for his wife, but also for his job. His job takes him away, he has long hours and all that kind of stuff. And there's some resentment that you see for different things with him and the kids. Um, the kids die in a car accident. And so then you see Robin Williams and Annabelle Ciora dealing with the grief of losing their children. And then after the kids die, Robin Williams' character dies, but he doesn't actually go away. He's still kind of hanging around. And so he sees the aftermath of his death. He sees his funeral. He sees what his wife, how she's taking everything. Um, and then he realizes by him being there, she can kind of still tell. So there's this kind of like thin veil there between the two of them, of the afterlife and this life. And you see him kind of like dancing around that thin veil, and then he finally like let's go and goes to quote unquote heaven, and he meets his children again in different, whatever. I'm not going to spoil everything, but he meets his children
Yeah.
again. um and unfortunately his wife commits suicide because she's has so much grief and she can't see a way past to this. And so when he finds out that she's committed suicide, he goes on this journey to hell to save her, because one of the characters says, hey, like, once you do that, there's the rules of everything is that once that happens, then they can't come here to heaven. And so he's like, all right, cool, I'm gonna go save her. And he gets there and realizes he can't save her, and he just was like, all right, cool, then I'm gonna join you instead. I'll choose hell over heaven for
Yeah.
you. And by doing that, it brings her that kind of love shifts everything, and then it's so good.
It it is, and it's a very kind of like spiritual film. This was written by Richard Matheson, which is the same thing. And from what I was seeing, is that in the novel there's more references to Theosophical. Words are fucking hard today. New Age and
Words are
paranormal
always.
beliefs.
Mm,
Matheson claimed in the introductory note that only the characters are fictional, but mostly everything else is based off of research. The story elements that do not show up in the film were astral projection, telepathy, a seance, and the term Summerland, which is
mm,
a name simplified heaven, and
mm,
Theosophy, and heaven in general, and religions such as Wicca. So it's a
mm.
very deep, very, very deep
Yeah.
spiritual film. And when I was looking this up and I was going through the story thing, I was like, I don't ever remember seeing the same film, because I only saw it
Mhm.
once. I saw it once, and I think it was like on
Mm.
television. And I'm
Yeah.
like over here, it's like, oh, it's Robin Williams. Like, this should be something really fun. I was like, no, it's a very,
Nope.
very dark,
So
dark
dark.
story. But
Yeah.
like, I don't know if maybe kind of like looking at this now and looking at when us losing Robin, because I think it's been now over a decade since we've lost Robin.
I
Uh,
think so. Right at or right around.
and this film came out a year after Good Will Hunting, which to me I actually think is one of his
Oh,
best films ever, and
yes. Hmm.
everything, because like he wasn't really there to be funny, but I didn't sit there think he was quite as sad at, kind of like in this film. But
Hmm.
or like World's Greatest Dad, I don't know if you've seen that one.
Oh my God. Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, what a film.
yeah, like that was like one of those hard-hitting ones that he did right before his
Yeah.
passing. um
Yeah.
and so to me, like, I always thought like Good Will Hunting was like that good middle ground that he finally hit, where
Hmm.
you can get that hilarity and with some real deep drama. And then like reading this,
Hmm.
it's like I have to go rewatch this. So
Me too.
you never would think you would sit there and watch him do a very spiritual kind of film, but then again, you look at
Hmm.
Hook, there's probably
Yeah.
some level of spiritualness of
Yeah.
awakening the inner child, and not allowing yourself to grow old. But
Hmm.
was there something very specific about this film that completely drew you to this, other than maybe Robin? Because I feel like a lot of people
Right.
came to this film and they're like, it's Robin Williams, like we're
Hmm.
gonna love this. uh
Yeah. So visually, it's very well shot, but there's this one specific part, and I want to say it because it's, what I'm talking. You're talking about it being a painting.
yeah.
There's this one section of heaven of because his wife is a painter, right? And so his heaven is living inside of a painting that she created. And visually he's interacting with it. He gets paint on his jacket. Like they very much made it to be interactive with his character. And so you see the animated paint that's all around, but you see the paint on him, and like visually gorgeous. But like I think, for again talking about stories that have heart, what has more heart than a man giving up heaven to go to hell to be with this woman that he loves? Like, oh my God. Like,
Yeah,
like
it's
what kind of love is that?
there there's
Oh.
it's a bit of a Dante's Inferno kind of ish. But instead of the man being damned, it's his love, and he's gonna go and possibly be damned himself because he loves her that much that it's like I will quite literally go into hell just to pick you back up and and save you. And it's definitely very heartwarming, but like I would sit there say if you're not really in the right mindset, it also doesn't seem like the right film to watch then and there. But like they don't make films like this, not to try to sound so repeated of like, what we mentioned with Princess Bride and Monty Python. They definitely, there was a time period of the late 90s and the early 2000s where you got films. Yes, What Dreams May Come, Carver. There were films like this just being made and like released through Miramax and other like independent stuff before they all became big. And I think this is the one I got lost a lot in the shuffle.
It did, because it's honestly like being being on stream and stuff like that, interacting with friends that are only on stream have I found other people that have watched the movie. Everyone else I have introduced the movie to, but they have not watched the movie before I showed it to them. So like it is definitely one of those things of like, it's such an impactful movie for me because of the visuals, because of just that kind of love, that kind of devotion. And so few people had seen it, and it was such a bummer like that it took so long to find people that have seen it. So like, Carver and y'all have seen it, and I'm like, yes, finally. People with taste.
Yeah, but whenever we did mention, I was like, I actually saw this a long time ago. It's like I don't remember shit. Like, what was this and everything? And it has like it has a stunning cast. Cuban Gooding Jr. is also in it as a supporting role. Max von Sydow, which to me, I had just recently got through 2 Bergman films, and like it took the second one for me to cry and everything. But like anything Max von Sydow in it, I'm into it. There's Rosalind Chow. Again, Annabelle. How do you say her last name?
I say Ciora. I'm not sure if that's
Ciora.
right.
It definitely sounds Italian, like Italian. But like I had no clue that was a chick from The Sopranos and everything.
See, I've never seen The Sopranos.
See, I've never seen The Sopranos either, and people are all like, you need to watch The Sopranos. And it's like, I'm like, over here, it's like, how many seasons is that?
Right, that's too much.
I'm already struggling to keep up watching Creature Commandos, and that's a weekly show and everything. So, one of the things that I also do love about, from what I'm reading this casting, is Werner Herzog has a cameo as one of the faces of the damned.
Sure does.
And I'm like, fucking feed me some Werner Herzog. I love that man's freaking work. So like you picking this out, it's like we're gonna have to probably host a watch party.
Do it. Yes, I'm ready. I would love to.
Like just for that, people be like, "Are you watching it for Robin Williams?" Like, I'm watching it for Werner Herzog. So shut up, so I don't miss this cameo. It's it's probably one of those cameos you miss it and blink and everything.
100%.
But
well, I think you can tell that it's him. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. But also too, there is also a love and a devotion for a man that his version of heaven is living in his wife's painting. That there is something fucking poetic outside of what of what he would do for her, to the fact that it's like, well, what's your idea of heaven? I was like, one of your paintings and everything.
And like, just I'm getting chills thinking about it because it's so good. But like, because when he first gets into that world, he sees it and he's kind of like, oh, this is beautiful. Like, this must be heaven, whatever. And then he sees this spot and he's like, oh my God, this is Annie's painting. And it's just like that moment of his heaven is literally a place that she created. Like, how beautiful is that? Oh, it's so good. I'm gonna watch it and cry tonight.
My God, I gotta look this up real quick. Where can we actually watch this?
I have the DVD because I am old school, but I don't know where it's streaming.
Don't get me started on a physical media rant, because I've done it. I've done it before on my last 12-hour stream. I was like, fucking buy your physical media. Because why would you let a streaming service grab you by the fucking balls and tell you when and when not you can watch your fucking favorite movies? Buy the fucking
that's
DVD.
What I've been doing.
And if you can't find it on DVD, fucking find that bitch on VHS. There are places you can buy a VHS player refurbished. It will never be brand new. You don't need everything brand new. Just buy it refurbished and I guarantee you it'll fucking work. And if not, then you can kick the person in the fucking balls and then go somewhere else for a new
And
refurbished.
you can watch a YouTube video to see how to fix it. Those are fixable. It's
There you
fine.
go. There's that too. But yeah, it apparently you can watch it on YouTube. It's on Google Film, Apple, Fandango, and you can buy it on Amazon Prime and everything.
Okay.
But that's gonna be one that I'm gonna have to save up the money, buy it on Prime, and everything,
Yeah.
and then stream it. Um,
Yeah.
because again, like this is the era of Robin Williams pulling out the most stunner fucking performances that was not a
Yeah.
comedy. Good Will Hunting,
Absolutely.
I'll always sit there and say to me, that's my favorite film of his. And then he did
Mhm.
What Dreams May Come. And then somewhere in between there, I will say there is a Robin Williams movie I do not enjoy, mostly just because I did not get it. But have you seen
Mhm.
Insomnia?
I have not, no.
So it's a kind of like a detective serial killer kind of film, and
Uh-huh.
Robin Williams plays buddy to this cop that's Al Pacino, and I think he
Interesting.
goes up to like Seattle, and it's all kind of like, you know, foggy as shit, can't really see anything, it's dreary as shit too.
Mhm.
And the cop is, I think, actually on like a vacation kind of thing of like, I'm trying to get my thoughts cleared. I think he's a homicide detective, and
Mhm.
there's these string of murders going on, and Robin Williams is helping him. I will not tell you
Mm.
guys to fucking spin, because I hate the twist ending of it. It's not a
Oh,
badly written twist
no.
ending, but there is someone in the film I really wish was not the killer, and I was like,
Got
I hate this fucking movie.
it.
It's like it's the acting is okay, but
Mhm.
like I'd much rather watch 1 Hour Photo, which is a film where
That's a very good
Robin
film.
Williams plays, I don't want to say a serial killer, but a very misunderstood man that also lives his life through these Polaroids of this family.
Mhm.
And I think that actually has something to say in what we live, I guess, like in the world of just social media, and also like in just Twitch, of how we view
Yep.
ourselves. And it's like, this is the person I think I know, but when you actually get to really know them, they're like, this isn't the person I know. What the fuck is going on here? Like, I was
Right.
fed lies, and I was like, you were
Mhm.
fed you were fed the very curated story of this individual. Not
Right.
everyone is very squeaky clean. And
Mhm. And even on, like, a less creepy note, just, like, the parasocialness of Twitch inherent, you know, like, the
yes.
fact that what we share on this platform is not who we are, not all of us anyway. And so there are people that definitely think that they know us as streamers or as content creators, and they really don't. They get what we give them on stream, and and it's easy kind of, I think, to see and interact with people on a weekly basis, daily basis, whatever it is, and feel like, oh, I know this person and they know me because they talk to me and they ask me about these things, and so it feels like there's like a connection there. And while
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to downplay the connection between content creators and their communities, because that's huge, I do think that there are some people that do take it to a level of thinking that they know someone way better than they actually do. um and I've had to have conversations with people, and I'm sure that you have too, of
Mm-hmm.
having to have those conversations of like, hi, we are in the same community, you're great, but I don't actually know you that way, so like,
Yeah.
let's let's consider how we have conversations with people that we don't actually know.
And this whole era of Robin, to go back to
Hmm.
Robin, we also got Patch Adams the same year as What Dreams May Come.
Yep.
And
Talk about two bangers, man.
Banger, I barely knew her. And 10 over here mentions also Bicentennial Man. Now, I've only seen
Mhm.
clips of that. I've never seen that one.
I
That
haven't
one,
either.
AI, Artificial Intelligence, was 2001. Uh,
Mm.
there is a whole lot of this. And um, this was the era in which he was like, you know what? I'm not just gonna be the funny man. I'm gonna show you
Right.
guys I can really
You
do it.
got range.
The guy
Hmm.
that everyone grew up as fucking Mork from Mork and Mindy, Nanu
Right, yeah.
Nanu. It's like, this motherfucker is making you fucking piss tears and
Hmm.
everything. Thank you so much, Emily, for the stretch. And
We stretching.
yeah, we stretching. And there's also another one. He played more of a comedic role in it, but I don't really find this film as all the same time like a comedy. But Tu Wong Fu,
Mhm.
thanks for everything, Julie Newmar.
That's a very good film.
John Jacob Jingleheimer Schmidt. That's his
Right.
character and everything.
Yep.
But I do prefer Priscilla. I prefer that
Mhm.
one over To Wong Fu. A lot of people,
Mhm.
I watched that one for Kato's, I think it was Kato's birthday? No,
Mm.
it was something we were celebrating with Kato. And we watched Priscilla. which is practically a bunch of drag queens in an RV driving across Australia and everything.
Beautiful.
Oh, it is. It's a fucking beautiful film. And it's one of the few films that I could watch John Leguizamo in, and he's not totally fucking annoying and
I
everything.
love John Leguizamo. Oh yeah.
And everything. He's all like, come on, baby. And like, I'm like over here. It's all like, all right, you're kind of hemming it up a little bit, John, but yeah, you know,
Have you
uh,
seen Death to Smoochie?
that was another one that popped up here too.
Hey,
I,
yes.
I haven't, it's been years since I've seen Death to Smoochie, but Robin Williams, Edward
Same.
Norton, Danny DeVito.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Edward Norton? Are you a
I love
fan?
Edward Norton.
Okay.
I've not, I will admit I've not seen him in a whole bunch. I think I've seen him in Death to Smoochie. I've seen him in American History X. I've seen him in Fight Club, of course. And then
You see him in
maybe a
Hulk,
couple of
right?
smaller things. Yeah, and in Hulk too. It's been a while since I've seen those. But I think he's a really good actor. And especially in American History X, that film I think is what made me realize like, oh, like just how good of an actor he is to have played that role
Mm-hmm.
and to be a character that you can eventually kind of have some kind of heart for
Yeah.
after what they do.
Uh, there is a I have a love-hate relationship with Edward Norton.
Really?
I love his work, but a lot of the stuff of what he acts like behind the scenes,
Mm.
it's all
Oh,
like,
see, I don't know anything about
yeah.
that.
And it sucks that I think he had a mental breakdown after doing Hulk, because I actually thought the Hulk was probably one of his
Mm,
best. He did one of my favorite interpretations of Bruce Banner, the man himself.
yeah.
And I still enjoy Eric Bana, because
Hmm.
that whole Hulk 2003 and that was all about childhood trauma,
Yeah.
family abuse, all that other stuff. And people are
Hmm.
like, how are you gonna fit that in a comic book film? I was like, he's gonna fight his dad.
Casual, it's
his
fine.
his dad somehow gets gamma radiation, becomes the absorbing man, and it's like, it's the one thing we
Why
wish we
not?
could all do as grown-ups
Yeah.
dealing with that childhood trauma, is like, I
Right.
wish I could just hulk up and beat the living shit out of my dad. Like, that's the answer to
Right.
everything. Just,
Yeah.
even though not everyone's dad killed their mother and everything, and then sat
Right.
there and
Yeah.
said, you're the reason I killed her, you freaking bastard of a child. and
Yeah.
and it's like, oh, that's some real grief right there, old man. And
Right.
you just dumped that shit on poor baby Banner. Baby Banner just
Yeah.
wanted to play with his toys and be happy with mama, and you were a psycho. But oh my god, we are in an ad, so I am going to try to sit there,
Oh,
and we'll
okay.
we'll we'll, we'll try to stretch out a little bit before we jump into the Q&A and everything. But Death to Smoochie,
What?
for
That was a very interesting film.
I have to go watch this now, because I am, at least now, I am a big fan of the satirical black comedy stuff. That it there is obviously a message in there, a very dark message, which is the reason why I love
Mhm.
Cable Guy so much. A lot of people are
Mhm.
like, oh, that's my favorite comedy. I was like, there's nothing actually funny about that movie. That fucking
Right.
movie is a psychological thriller. And you're like, it
Yeah.
is? It's like, it's about a man that was raised in front of the television. Father knew best, all that other stuff, that what we thought we were raising our children on were, good family values, just to find out that, hey, it's like that parasocial thing. Not everyone's like what they
Mhm.
fucking are. And
Yep.
for him, he struggles to make friends. He has no fucking friends. And
Mhm.
he finds this one guy and everything, and he doesn't want to let go to him. And
Mhm.
he goes to these psychotic methods of getting him fucking arrested. And he's all
Yep.
like, I'm gonna have fun with Robin tonight. And like does like all this weird shit. And then doing,
Yeah.
and he references movies and TVs towards this guy, and this guy's like, I have no clue. This is what I would feel like if I was psychotic enough as a film nerd, that I would make all these movie references, and people are like, I don't know
Uh-huh.
what you're talking about, dude. And because the whole thing where Matthew Broderick's in prison, and fucking Jim Carrey unbuttons his shirt, he's like, oh daddy, and like he's all like,
Right.
what the hell? And the other prison inmates are smiling. He's like, oh boy, you got a good one. And
Oh
I'm all like,
no.
it takes some level of a person's psyche that they would do something like that. And
Right.
I
Okay.
think this was also towards the time where I think Jim was not doing any of this wacky shit for the attention. It was more of the,
Mhm.
I'm crying out for help. Man on the
Yeah.
Moon was to me the nail in the coffin for that. But this one right here, if you guys haven't seen
Mhm.
Cable Guy, watch it. But Death to
Mhm.
Smoochie reminds me so much of that. And I like
Mhm.
watching films that especially just judging by like a disgraced former child television star. This makes me think of Pee Wee Herman
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the guy who did the original Elmo, because he did things to children that he shouldn't have done, and he abused
Mm,
his power and everything.
mm,
Well, Pee Wee didn't do nothing to children. He was just caught with his dick out at a porno
yeah,
theater, and
yeah.
people were all like, "Yo, you can't do this." It's like, come on, the guy's stressed. He's
What is
gotta.
the also what's the point of a porno theater if not come on guys, like
Yeah, it was the fact that he was such a beloved child,
yeah, right.
a child entertainer, that they're all
Yeah,
like, you can't whack it in a fucking public thing. It's like, it's a porno theater, I
right.
can do this and
Like,
everything. It's like, yeah,
yeah,
there's so much that we can.
ridiculous.
That's a whole nother episode. The like,
True.
films about either child stars or films about people that have fallen from grace because they have needs like what we do,
Mhm.
and they kind of did it
Well,
in the
like
wrong.
people are people.
Yeah,
Like
we
that's
all
the
have our
thing that
faults.
right. And whether we're talking about content creation or a lot of the times like one of the things that was harder for me to learn was like learning the fact that my parents were just adults doing their best.
Yeah,
Like kind of having that revelation as an adult child and like going through all the stuff, the trauma that I endured as a child, which we all do, and going through that and realizing like my parents were just doing their best with the information that they had and trying to disentangle, they're my parent, but yeah, but they're still just an adult doing the best they have with the tools that they had. And so like content creators, movie stars, actors, all these people are just people. And it's one of those things of like, oh, well, with great power comes great responsibility. But why do they have that great of power,
you can't just fucking throw Spider-Man at every other damn thing like and expect
Yes,
it.
I can.
Well, no. I mean, like when people do go that, and like I'm like, you
Yeah.
can't fucking throw Spider-Man at
Right.
everything. It's like
Yeah.
we're all fallible people and everything,
Right.
and it's like it's like, look, that can only slide so freaking far.
Right.
Uh, but we are going to, since we are back from the ads, we are going to open up a Q&A. So folks, you guys have a few minutes to drop your questions down and we will answer them if you guys
Yeah.
have any. Bird did tell me that she had some questions for me, which I'm a little bit scared of.
You. I
Uh,
do.
but
Don't be
uh,
scared.
but yeah, I want you guys to go first. So if you guys have any questions, we will sit there and leave that open to you guys. This is the Q&A time. Whatever questions. I know, Salem, I forgot to feed you guys. You guys will be fed as soon as I can.
Oh goodness.
What are your guys' secret of being awesome? I'll let Birdie take this one.
Oh, please. No, I surround myself with cool people and I act just like them. No, Benny and everybody and Hunter and everybody that's come in. Hello. It's good to see all of y'all. Thanks for coming to support. I really appreciate it. I don't feel like I just feel like I'm a normal human being, and it's really fun to be on a platform where I can connect with other human beings that are fun and funny and smart and just a joy to talk to and be around. And I feel like the community that both Goth and I are part of with like Mift and Nikki and all of these people that are just people that are so kind and funny and um, encouraging and really want people to be their best selves and are very passionate about making sure that people feel safe and comfortable. And I feel like having a community and a place where people do feel like they're able to be themselves and bringing that out of each other is just the best place to be. And that's all that I strive for is being in community with people that make me feel comfortable and that creating a space where other folks can feel comfortable too.
Bird entered that as poetic and as awesome as ever.
Thank
I,
you, thank you.
I'm just a freaking film nerd here. That's all that I am. And people, I did my best. I may have to split up a cat fight. I did my best and everything to grow an outlet to where a lot of people can talk about their favorite films. This is why also too I did this podcast because to me there's something different between interviewing someone that actually is famous or works in the industry compared to not a lot of people who get interviewed, or those are the consumers, those that
Right.
like, how does this film actually identify with me, what has this film done?
Mhm.
And I've always
Mhm.
picked up something about that from Layla, from you, from Miff, Stevie, Sarah, all of them, all the people that I've interviewed, they're this isn't your typical interview kind of shoot thing where it's like
Mm,
we are getting to know everyone by getting at least to know a little bit of their personality through these films.
mhm. Yeah.
And I saw that incredibly with Miffed, which Miffed, if you're lurking in here,
Right.
buddy,
Yeah.
don't mean to call you out. You're fucking awesome. You know, I love those films that you picked out. You know, those definitely mean a lot. And it makes me really want to go back and rewatch those, especially A Knight's
Mhm.
Tale.
So, gotta watch it.
the
Yeah.
the man essentially, because it's even in the episode, I was like, you definitely look at yourself as the Heath Ledger character. That's what you do. It's you look at yourself like that. And we do,
Yeah.
there are certain films where we watch where we just view each other as these characters, and there's nothing wrong with that,
Mhm.
because that is something that we empathize with, and it's something that we
Mhm.
connect with.
Right.
What advice would you give your kid self?
Ooh.
Buckle up, Buttercup. It's gonna be a long, bumpy ride, but you know what?
You got 4 hours?
You'll meet some wonderful people. Some of them will hurt you, but that's okay, because some of them are actually worth the pain, and the others actually aren't.
Yeah.
It's probably really the best
Yeah.
way I could probably put that there. And you'll probably be better best friends with your sister as an adult than you were as a child.
Aw. That's sweet though.
Oh my god. Well, I mean, like, it definitely feels like the bonding here ever since I moved in with sis has like grown,
Mhm.
because like, I mean, now I got her as a streamer. Like, she first
Yeah.
started as modding, now she's streaming and everything. And
Aw.
so
Yeah.
like, it's so great now, because it's like, I think there was someone asked me, it's like, well, what happens if if your guys' schedule kind of overlaps, you know, when it comes to streaming? And I was like, she does nights, I do mornings. I enjoy the morning.
That's
It
perfect.
seems like you guys enjoy me more in the morning, when I'm not
Mm.
saying every fucking swear in the book, and I'm just doing it. I'm swearing in my mind, because as I'm trying to write, I'm like, fuck, how does this go? How does this,
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
I'm struggling more internally than anything. And you guys don't have to wake
Mm.
up and be like, wow, I haven't even had my coffee yet, and Goth has already reached the Q letter and the swear words.
Oh God.
What is your worst date like? I'll let Bird go this one. I'll
Oh.
answer, but I let the guest go first.
I will. I don't feel like I've had bad dates, and that's because mostly I've not really gone on a lot of like dates. A lot of the people that I've dated have been people that I have known for a while before we've become romantically involved, and so it's not like we didn't go on dates, but it was never truly. I've been on one like I guess two first dates. One happened this year, and it was fine. We got coffee, and we sat outside in the heat, but it was fine. Like it was chill. And then another first date was when I'd only met, and he wound up being my ex. We dated for 3 years. Um, we'd only met like one time before he asked me on a date, and the date went great because we started dating after that. So like I feel like I'm very grateful that I've not had any bad first date experiences because I just have wound up dating people that I've known through other stuff for a period of time. So sorry, not a good answer.
I think I wouldn't call mine a worst date, but for a long time I stopped telling myself, please don't let me pick the movie, because
Oh no.
because this was, I think, my last year, or no,
Mhm,
I think it was the second to last year before the wrap up of my film school. um
mhm,
I had this one girl, she traveled all the way across the city just to come hang out with me. We did a movie date at my place, which
mhm.
I know not many people do that here, but God, fucking Texas is big. It's either you're going out
Right.
somewhere or you go over to someone else's place. Um,
Yeah.
and she told me, "Oh, pick the movie." I was like, "All right, well, I picked Terrifier,"
Oh, good.
and I did not know anything of what was going. I just figured, okay, it's gonna be a slasher film. It's gonna be some dumbass clown. He's gonna go around kill
Right.
people. It's just a cheap knockoff of Pennywise.
Uh-huh.
The scene in which the one chick gets stripped naked and she's turned upside down like a wishbone and getting sawed in half from crotch to
Yeah.
skull,
Yeah.
with a rusty saw. That was like one of those childhood moments, you know, if you ever get scared with someone, you grab them right by you, you just scream.
Yeah.
That was that moment. And I'm like, at the end, I was all like, the date was nice and everything, but at the end, I was like,
Yeah.
you pick the movie now. And she's like, oh
Right.
no, the movie was fine. I was like, the movie was not fine. I felt like we developed some type of weird trauma bond moment, and it's probably gonna take a few months before we realize, yeah, no, that was a terrible, terrible movie pick. And even I'm
No.
like over here, like, Ugh.
Yeah.
It's like,
Bless it.
oh my god. We're gonna do
Yes.
one.
So read or vet the movies first.
We're gonna do one last question before I answer any of Bird's questions, and then we'll wrap
Okay.
up for today. So Benny again asks, "What is your favorite movie of all time and why?"
Beauty and the Beast.
Which one?
The one from the 90s, the animated one,
Okay.
because it's just this the music is fantastic. I have a tattoo of the stained glass rose from Beauty and the Beast on my leg.
Ooh.
Is one of my first tattoos. Um, but it's a beautiful story. It's someone overcoming, their inner demons, their inner beast, right? And like becoming a beautiful prince. I think it's a great story. It's got fantastic music. It's got uh, you know, Belle being the main character is a bookish kind of like shy, quiet person, who I relate to so much. And also all of the Instagram astrology meme accounts say that Belle is a Virgo and I'm also a Virgo, so relate heavily to her.
Mine's always a tie because when you ask everyone what
Mm.
is your favorite movie, mine's always a tie between The Changeling and The Exorcist Story. Um,
Mm.
I do have a deep belief in the paranormal. I
Mm.
also believe don't go out and talk shit about something you can't fucking see because it's more frightening
Yup.
when you can't even see it. Because there's some people
Yup.
that are like, I didn't see that coming. I was like, all right, there's a difference between I cannot see that coming and then
Uh-huh.
you did not see that coming and now you're fucking
Right.
suspended on the freaking damn wall being Freddy's bitch for the
Right.
for the next thing. Um, so for me, it's that, and the story behind that is also like those were movies I watched with my mother. My mother introduced me to a
Mm.
lot of world of cinema. She had no clue she
Mhm.
was technically grooming a filmmaker at this point with,
Right.
all these classic stuff. I would watch Orca. I watched The Exorcist way too damn young and look at how I came
Mm.
out. So yeah, it's it's definitely that, and to me it always reminds me of those Saturday mornings when my mom would finish cleaning, and we would just get up on the couch together and we would just watch
Mhm.
movies. And we would do that
Yeah.
every Saturday. If we didn't go to a theater, which we didn't really go too much of a theater when I was younger, um,
Mhm.
because I was a terrible child. I behaved bad. I was a bastard at some point. uh, that's just pretty much kind of like just how it is and everything. I was
Mhm.
mean. Even sis will tell you he's a mean child. I was
Aw.
and everything. I was a mean child, but like to me that was also my cinema was like we sat
Mhm.
there big screen television and we would
Mhm.
watch The Changeling, we would watch The Exorcist 3, and then if it was anything like a Memorial Day or whatever, I watched Battle of the Bulge with my mother. I would watch
Mhm.
The Dirty Dozen. So that's where I also got a lot of my classic stuff. If she was in the mood for a
Mm.
western, chances are we flip flopped somewhere between a John Ford, John Wayne film and a Clint Eastwood
Mhm.
film. If we wanted a
Mhm.
really good story of, we'll get them Pilgrim, we watch John Wayne. If we just wanted
Mhm.
to watch Clint Eastwood fuck someone up, we watch Clint Eastwood.
There you go. Yeah.
That's practically where most of my love for cinema always came, was my mother.
Mm.
We'd sit on
Mhm.
the couch. She sometimes would not do it because she's seen the movies over 100 times, but I would be
Right.
there, laser focus, like Chip
Mhm.
Douglas from Cable Guy, like watching it. But of course,
Yeah.
I'm not going to the extreme lengths of it
Right.
all. Matt actually has a question. With the
Uh,
stained glass rose tattoo, do you find that it relates to your life at all? Then when you got it or now?
um, the tattoo itself, not really. I got it because it's a beautiful piece of art and it's from a film that I have considered my favorite film for, I mean, most of my adult life. And I mean, literally, I wore out the VHS. I wore out a VHS tape of watching Beauty and the Beast so much because I fucking loved it. And so it was one of those things of like, a nod to childhood me, a nod to a thing that I love, a nod to a beautiful piece of Disney history, and I don't necessarily feel like it relates to anything in my life other than just like here's a thing that I love and it's pretty. So yeah, not all my tattoos have meanings. Some of them are actually memes, or like inside jokes with friends. Not all of them are pretty. So
Oh
yeah,
my god.
yeah,
That does also remind me of because you mentioned you wore out the tape. That's like I did the same thing with King Kong versus Godzilla. I
nice.
love
Yeah,
that film as a
okay.
child. That's to me, that's also what got me in the cinema was watching that. I watch it over and over to the point my mom's like, "You ruined the tape."
Right. Yep.
And of course,
I did the
young
same
me, it's
thing.
all like, well, what does that mean?
High
I
five.
ruined the tape,
Yeah.
you know?
Right.
So I think that does come with some sort of a passion of when you're a child and you're watching this, that this is something, you know. And
Mhm.
again, Beauty and the Beast fantasy. We're talking your
Mhm.
favorite fantasy films
Lord of the Rings poster, right there. Lord of the Rings poster over there. You can't see it.
on the
That's it. That's
corner.
one of the original like 1970s drawings. Lord of the Rings poster. Love Lord of the
Oh,
Rings. I have the 1960, I think 1965 Ballantine books editions of Lord of the Rings. My uncle gave them to me. But a lot of the media that I consumed as a child and that I do enjoy is some type of fantasy. Yeah.
it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It is, and
It's better than here.
so, what are your questions for me as I fear for my
Really
life?
only have one question, and
Okay,
it's
okay.
just what do you want to do in 2025, whether it's content creation, specifically streaming, or like what is one goal that you have for yourself for 2025?
I think the big ones at least try to get a movie, not made but written.
Hmm.
I would like to get back into film. I want to get into model creation. I've been getting into all that. There's a whole lot that I really want to do, but I think one of the big ones is it's because since I started my filmmaking journey as a writer and I've lost my way a bit, I have been trying to
Hmm.
sit there and get back into it.
Hmm.
And like this year, I've at least sat there and put in the effort of research, you know. And
Hmm.
I've even
That's
done
awesome.
I've
Yeah.
even done that on stream where it's like researching and doing stuff like that, and then it's like it's kind of like over here. It's like, am I boring my audience? Because you know everyone else
Who
is at
cares?
work. Everyone else is at work, but
Yeah.
I'm like over here like I'm like looking at like old mining towns for like
Hmm.
this horror western that I want to really write and everything. But also at the same
Hmm.
time too, it's more than just a horror western because some of these stories are like actually general meaningful kind of stories. Like there's one I really want to write um that's about a bunch of immigrant brothers
Hmm.
who their family used to be a big thing in their homeland because they came
Hmm.
from a brewing family. Well, they
Hmm.
lost it all, so they come into the new world, which is kind of a fictitious America.
Right.
And they come into the new world and they're going to sit there and try to reclaim that family name, you know, not
Hmm.
just for themselves, but to them, they're going to be like, I'm going to make a name for myself and we're going to do this.
Right.
But they
Hmm.
kind of fall into this scheme of a greedy land baron who runs a copper
Hmm.
mine. And it's funny because
Hmm.
just practically where they're at, it's just poor living situation. The land baron's the only one that actually has a good living situation, but he wants more, but he's living off of copper. It's not really the
Hmm.
best. It's like I haven't hit gold or silver. I'm stuck in this.
Yeah.
But now it's like he knows that he can make more money off because these brothers' special brew, if
Mm.
consumed too much, it kills you and you rise in 3 days.
Mm.
But you know, it turns you into like this husk, and all you can think of is that drink. And I mean, so there's a form of
Wow. Yeah.
capitalism into it, but also too, there's also a fear of because you know, my father was an alcoholic and
Mm. Mhm.
everything, and so there was like kind of like throwing that element in there. And I
Mhm.
didn't think about it until after I pitched it to one of my friends. And they're like, "You like talking about capitalism? You're very anti-capitalist for a capitalist." And it's all like,
Well,
I was like, I think at some point it's like capitalism is good, but when you start looking at the greed aspect of how much people will hoard shit, it's like
mhm.
you kind of understand why dragons were such a big thing back in the past when early
Yeah.
capitalism dragons, you know, hoarded their gold, and if they found any place
Mhm.
that had a lot of gold, they just destroy everything there, and they take that money and they're like, it's my gold now, you know. So
Mhm.
I think in all sense we've always had some type of commentary on capitalists, and to me
Yeah.
you don't get that too much in a western for one, but a horror western,
Mhm.
and I kind of really want to make horror westerns really good again. Bone
Horror
Tomahawk
Western
was
is
good.
like Horror Western is a fantastic like almost subgenre that I feel like I've not seen enough of, and it's because it sounds fantastic.
There is a book series, I'll try to send it to you. They're called
Yeah.
splatter westerns. So they're almost like a
Okay.
spaghetti western, but they're more violent. And there's like stuff
Uh-huh.
that there's women turning into, I think, were hyenas, and
Beautiful.
uh it's all sorts of wonderful stuff. And it was something I felt like it was tapped back like in the pulp era because it feels very
Mhm.
pulpy. But I think now in the way how most people write their stuff, it's like it would just be labeled as fantasy horror, you
Yeah.
know, but
Yeah.
it's within a western backdrop and
Mhm.
everything. And with me growing up, I've seen practically almost every popular western known to man. uh
Mhm.
almost every single Western that Clint Eastwood's done. I haven't seen all the John Wayne ones, but there's
Yeah.
something that, like, when you start looking at what the Italians and the Spanish and the Europe, practically all the Europeans did with a Western, it's all like,
Mhm.
most people are like, wow, they really hit the Western very well. It was like, well, it's because like they saw through like the whole facade of
Mhm.
what the American frontier was, and they're like,
Yeah.
no, this is pretty much what it was. But they can add
Mhm.
their spin. They can add their spin. Yeah, Ravenous was a really good Western horror one. Um,
Okay.
there's Bone Tomahawk is one. It doesn't get too much in the commentary sense, but it's a really, really good
Mhm.
one. It's probably the most recent one. The Burrowers is actually one I think it's really good. I don't know if you've seen that
Mhm.
one, but
I've heard of that one.
that one, it's like a bunch, practically it's a bunch of white men who are like, oh, the Indians are scalping everyone and killing them, so we got to kill these Indians.
Mhm.
And then the Indians are like, I'm not the enemy, these guys are. And then they start
Right.
realizing that there is a monster or
Yeah.
a pack of them that can burrow underneath the ground. They bite you, and it's
Ew.
so venomous that it paralyzes you, and they could just bury you alive until your skin's soft enough that they feed off of you. I was like, that's fucking terrifying.
That's Motel Hell. Yeah, okay.
Motel Hell, ain't nothing
I
better
love Motel
than
Hell.
something's, apple fritters or something like that. And
Right.
that dude cut the
Oh,
vocal cords out, and you hear like that. Yeah,
I
no,
know. Oh my God.
that
Loved that film.
I was not expecting you to ever mention a Motel Hell. That is
I
a
have the
niche.
steelbook case.
Oh my god, we got to watch that one. That is a niche horror film not many people watch. It's the same thing like Toby Hooper's Gator,
Mhm.
where yeah,
I haven't seen that one.
I think it's called Gator, where it's like this serial killer dude that runs around with like a scythe, and he just chases people
Beautiful.
into a swamp where he feeds them to his gators.
There you go.
It
I mean,
it is the most lowbrow cinema, but believe it or not, most of that lowbrow cinema is fucking chef's kiss. But
right.
folks, we're
Yeah.
gonna wrap this up because we're pushing the hour and a half mark and everything. Bird, where can the lovely people find you on the socials?
Y'all can find me on Blue Sky and Instagram and on Twitch at SongBirdeTV. That's pretty much where you'll find me hanging out most days. You'll see me on Twitch usually on the weekends if I'm lucky. One night during the week, I am in America, so Central Standard Time for me. But if not there, you'll catch me hanging out in people's streams and all of our wonderful friends, including Goth streams.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much again for being here. This was an excellent opening.
Yeah,
We had a little trips and everything. It's been a while since I did the podcasting thing, but it's great to be back in this. And it's great to
it
sit
was
there
an
and
honor.
have like a wonderful community here, throw in questions and listening. And hopefully we gave you guys a plethora of fucking see, I can't speak. A plethora of wonderful films to check out, from Robin Williams to Motel Hell. Didn't think you could ever sit there and have that in the sentence, but thank you
Here we
guys
are.
again so much, and we'll catch you guys all later and everything.